This is Things You Might Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and I'm ready to present to you yesterday's latest in information, politics, current events, and pop culture. This is your go-to supplemental source for both mainstream and unconventional news stories that you may have missed over the day, with a little added context thrown in there. In the queue, 8 stories for today that were yesterday's stories that were vetted by you as Conversational and curated into this newscast by me. We'll explain the vetting process in just a bit. And at the end of the whole shebang, today things, some fun stuff for you to get into for the day as well. So stick around for the full end. Our website is this, at theconversationproject.com. More information on us is there. And of course, email us anytime you feel like it at the email address, theconversationinbox.com, or the conversationinbox@gmail.com. Don't forget that Gmail part, it's kind of important. Right now, like I said, 8 stories ready in the queue to get to you for today. Today is Wednesday, the 10th of January, 2024. Let's get into the headlines. No particular order of the stories, but we'll explain when the vetting process gets through. This is just how they kind of lined out when we got into the actual writing of the scripts for this morning. And story number 1 is a big one because it corresponds to the big story from yesterday, which was, or the day before, I should say, on the 1st, where we had Michigan winning the national championship in football. Headline number 1, Ann Arbor Fire Department responds to 17 couch debris fires. Couch, comma, debris fires. Put some space in there. Ann Arbor Fire Department, get that's right, responded to 17 separate incidents involving couch and debris fires following the University of Michigan's championship victory. These fires, which occurred in various locations of the city, were swiftly extinguished by fire crews, ensuring no major incidents or injuries were resulted. The situation underscores the challenge faced by emergency services during large-scale celebrations and the importance of public safety in such events. I'm not sure why couches being put on fire are the thing. We'll actually return to that in a quick bit as a comment from someone we'll talk about later on. But essentially, when championships are won, college towns are ablaze with fires. I don't know if there's like a mattress place or a used place for couches where they basically just line them up, sell them, and just let them get them out the racks. But couches get set on fire after victories, and that's what victory had, where Michigan won 34-13 over Washington on Monday, which means couches got lit up late Monday night. Let's go to the story at number 2. Adult Swim gets night safe for work with Steamboat Willie after it enters public domain. Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse has been in public domain as of today, 10 days essentially. So you've had 10 days to get to work. Now, there are at least 2 actual full-length horror movies coming out there, and one had to change its name for some reason because there was a copyright on something piece of that. We heard that actually Blood and Honey had to do some things as well because of the likeness that has to be worked out. Adult Swim got a jump on it by not quite going the full route, just putting up a little bump with Steamboat Willie being not quite safe for work right now, so they can get on the action pretty simply. Check out the videos online or watch Adult Swim and see that Mickey Mouse being un-Mickey-ish in his debut, doing the nasty things. Very nasty things in this one in particular. The third story for this morning, Elon Musk's X, say that 3 times fast, to stream shows from Don Lemon and Jim Rome in original content. Remember about that whole couch is on fire thing? That's a big line that Jim Rome used to say basically after every single championship, because that's what happens, riots and couches on fires. Well, Jim Rome, who's still on the radio, as some people may not believe, Don Lemon, who's not on TV right now, and also former Representative Tulsi Gabbard, who is a still registered Democrat, I think, but has been leaning more Republican for quite some time, are going on X with exclusive platform media shows. And so you will see more of Don Lemon, who's not been anywhere, more of Tulsi Gabbard, who's been popping up here or there on some conservative media things as fill-ins and a big guest, and Jim Rohn, who's just basically making the transition into a new media with someone managing it going forward. We will see how expansive X will be with these things. We know Tucker Carlson's doing okay. He's still there. That happens. I don't watch him, but he's still there, and people are looking to his X for various things for what he's saying because he's still relevant in that terms. We'll see what happens when we add these 3 big names plus other folks who are using X as a major stream platform. We stream this on X as well. So if you are following us on our Twitter page, X page, just look for it to go live every morning at 5:50 in the morning, and you can see this live on X as well. We're just like Jim Rome and Don Lemon. Check it out. The 4th story, Meta hides post about suicide, 2 hide posts about suicide, eating disorders from teens, Instagram and Facebook feeds. hard to read the headline just because it's kind of weirdly written, but that's what Meta is going to do. Meta is going to go through and at this very moment, going this point forward, try to limit the exposure to teens on things about suicide and eating disorders, because we're seeing more reports that teens and young adults in that age are spending about 5 hours a day, 5 full hours a day on social media. Now, back in the past, back in my day, of course, it was 5-6 hours a day on TV, and how much TV is there to watch? There's only like 2 hours of child TV a day, where we're watching actual shows and watching real soap operas and things like that, and getting the gist of things going on. We were back then. I was watching a lot of Days of Our Lives literally since I was 4. Nowadays, TV is not the big jump for anyone, in example, because no one really watches it live in streaming, live in as it's on the air, over the air anymore. But people are picking up clips of things online, and teens are all over social media just searching for other people, influencers and stuff going on. Graphic, self-harm, eating disorders, and other sensitive topics will be essentially banned, blocked from many accounts that are teenagers' accounts on Facebook and Instagram. Now, here's the problem. That must mean that a person must have their actual real birth date in the platform, in the actual account they have. If they just made a regular account, like many teens do, there won't be the filters that are there. So if you are a parent of a teen, make sure that their accounts are actually set at teen age, and you can monitor them so they can get some of this extra love, if you will, from Meta, as opposed to just being out there in the Wild West. Our next headline for the number 5 story we have this morning, 5 out of 8 stories, has judges skeptical of Trump's immunity appeal of court hearing from 2020 election interference case. Apologies for the read today, having some issues with the scripts staying stable. But here is the deal. Yesterday, Donald Trump did not campaign in Iowa or New Hampshire or anywhere. He went to court. He went to court to deal with his immunity challenge for his 2020 election case. Essentially, his lawyers stood up and are saying that because Donald Trump is president, he's immune from anything that happened while he was president, and things that happened along the lines that just were there, including the fact that he could not have interfered with the changing of the ballots or any sort of things and cause insurrections, because he was still president at the time when January 6th happened and all the talk about that stuff. He was still fighting back the court cases of getting all the votes that he believed were there, that of course obviously weren't, because he lost. So even on the day where they were going to certify the election, he was still the president. He could not have incited a riot that day because he's the president. In fact, the most hilarious and just meta thing about the day was a question by one of the judges asking, so if President Trump had one of his political rivals assassinated by SEAL Team 6, he could be immune from it, in which his lawyer said, well, if he's not actually impeached or charged by Congress, then it's kind of valid. That actually words were said. There's also a long sort of rambly speech by Donald Trump given there because for the public, basically saying that this was a travesty, this is dangerous, throwing out the words Pandora's box. And when asked, well, are you going to actually make sure to tell your people that they should not do any violence if whatever happens, he just kind of stood there and looked, didn't answer the question, which is the real scary part of the statement from yesterday. The 6th story from yesterday's news that you vetted as good. The Mandalorian, that guy, and Grogu, not Baby Yoda, are journeying to the big screen. A full-length movie being out in theaters probably by the end of 2024. The film will be directed by Jon Favreau, who of course directed basically all the episodes of Mandarin, and produced by Favreau, Kathleen Kennedy, and David Filoni. So, big news for the Mandalorian, who's not coming back to Disney Plus, as we already know, because apparently he's going big screen. Good news for that. Let's go to the story at number 7 this morning, and it is headline, Gabriel Attal, hopefully that's how it's said, is France's youngest ever and first openly gay prime minister. We popped this in the link to see the feeds to see if you guys liked it. You liked it enough that it's here today. Gabriel Attal is 34 years old. He rose to prominence as a government spokesman and education minister and will work with Macron to name a new government in the coming days, because that's what they do in Parliament. He is the youngest prime minister ever. 34 seems like a big get, so we'll see how long he will stick around in politics and how long he'll be relevant at such a young age. And of course, he's openly gay, which may mean something in the largest grand scheme of things in the world. For France, I'm sure it's just Tuesday. And number 8 story for the day, very quickly on this one, and this is a really big deal. South Korea passes a law banning dog meat trade, which means all the jokes you have about Koreans eating meat, dog meat, will have to kind of be wrapped up pretty quickly, because as of now, South Korea is banning the sale and consumption of dog meat in any fashion, which is cheered by animal welfare groups around the world, specifically in South Korea, as it's become more of a just let's be real. It's a racial insensitivity to something that actually was done as a cultural thing for hundreds of years. But now in these days and ages, it's seen barbaric because most people believe it is. And so because of that, the dog meat market is now officially closed, trading and banning that in the actual nation of South Korea, so we can cut out on dog and cat jokes in the Chinese restaurants because they're not funny. Let's move on to the errors, apologies, and omissions section. We're going to drop 2 quick stories here, 2 quick headlines. Number 1, Adam Canto, actor of The Cleaning Lady and designated survivor, dead at 42. Also, Irish singer Sinead O'Connor died from natural causes, coroner says. The first one, Adam Canto, check out the link for that one in our feeds or search for him. Very talented young actor, been seeing a lot of things lately, passing away yesterday. And Sinead O'Connor, who passed away months ago after autopsy, after the coroner has finished the reports. Her official death cause is natural causes. We're glad to have a wrap on that one. Let's talk about our teaser story for today, which could be a story we talk about tomorrow. In the feeds right now, as you go looking for stuff, is this headline: BlackRock to lay off 600 employees, about 3% of workforce. BlackRock's going to let go of some folks. It's going to happen. It's the first really big layoff of the year, and 600 sounds like a lower number because last year people were laying off thousands at a time worldwide, but it's 3% of its workforce. BlackRock not as large as you think it is, so it makes a pretty big difference. Will we talk about this story tomorrow, or what stories will we technically talk about tomorrow? You just go to our feeds and let us know. You can vote this one up or anything that pops up on the feeds. Every 50 minutes or so, we post a news story from various sources online. Some of them more reputable than others, some of them more bloggy than others, some of them you may love, some of them you may not like the bent of their gib, if you will. But we post from various places, so we get various headlines and various stories. We want you to engage in the stories. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more you hate, the more you love, the more you share, the more engagement a story gets, better chance we have of talking about it in the next iteration. Tuesday through Friday, we take 8 stories from the top 15 of every day and put them into a curated list. On Monday, it's 10 stories from top 30 of the weekend, and that's how it happens. So if you want a particular story in there, you've got to go check it out, check your feeds and see what you got going on, and vote it up, engage in it to let us know what you want us to talk about tomorrow morning. Our sponsor we're spotlighting this morning is Ground News. Sticking with the news theme that we have here every single day. Ground News is a tool, an app I've been using for a few years, but just now recently, and be honest, it's bandwagon because everyone else is being sponsored by Ground News. We reached out and they allowed us to be a part of their team. Ground News is a great app to find out what people are talking about and whom they're talking about, whom is talking about it and how. I guess I used that in the wrong tense. You can find a news story and you can see how it's being covered on the conservative bent and on the liberal bent, and how many different agencies are covering it each way. It's an interesting way to check things out. It's news aggregation from the standpoint of literally being democratizing, seeing who's saying what. So you can see what stories the right is covering that the left isn't, and what stories the left is covering that the right isn't. What stories getting sort of equal, fair coverage, and the contrast and comparison, how one agency will write a headline that will be totally opposite to another agency, while the facts in the story are more or less the same. The more or less slant and view that's being presented is different, and you can see how the action works at Ground News. Check out our link. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news. This is a conversationproject.com/ground news. If you check out this link and use this link to get the app and install it, we get a small commission, and it helps keep things going on here. So we appreciate all you do for all our sponsors. Check out our sponsors page at our website for all of our big main highlight sponsors, but check out Ground News just in general because you're a news guy. You're here, so this is something that I know you're into. We also want you to help us out directly. I want you to purchase my new book, which I published a few weeks before the beginning of the year. Excuse me, called These Will Get You the Job. 2024 is a year of new things and big things we have planned for me and my More Better Media businesses. Part of what I do at More Better Media is a business website, podcast, brand, if you will. And one of those things is about getting people, the right people in the right places, right jobs. So I'm trying to make sure if you're looking for a new position or looking to hire new people this year and want to know what to look for, this book, it's just Kindle and paperback editions, will help you as an employee figure out some things to work on in your interview skills and in your resume skills and in your presentations to either help get you a new job or to be seen in a greater light at the job you're currently in. Because it might not be about getting a new job. It might just be about looking better where you are. It also has a chapter in there that has some stealthy ways that employers use those things against you. So that's one of the cooler things about when I wrote this. It's like, yeah, these are great, but what happens if you're a loyal person and you don't want to give up a project and they keep throwing things in the way to kind of muddy those waters? There are ways you can look for that, and you can combat that as well. There's a quick chapter on that as well. If you're an employer and you're looking to get your employees to kind of get better this year, buy some copies of the books, talk about it, share it, do it in a group training session about some of the traits that we're looking for here. I look for here to get you going through there. It's a very good book, very quick read, very simple read, and it's $10 on Amazon as a paperback, $5 as a Kindle read, and of course it's actually in other places. It's spread in other places. I can't control those. I can only control what I did in Amazon. That's where I printed it. So check out These Will Get You the Job by J. Clifton Payne. Search for it on Amazon or wherever your books are found. It may be in a bookstore someplace. They do that as well. So check it out and get yourself a better job or be better at your job this upcoming year. The Conversation Project lives online at this. It's conversationproject.com. Make sure you stop by our website to find out more about what we do and how we present ourselves every single day. Use our feeds every single day, every couple times a day, every few hours. You're checking your Facebook and your Twitter. See what we're up to. Twitter or X. I call it Twitter. We call it X in the story because it was written that way. But it's Twitter. We know it's Twitter. Look for us in the feeds and see what stories you want to talk about and engage in them to let us know what stories are worthy of you. And come Friday, we'll compile all the stories of the week to prepare for the Saturday edition, which is things or should say, the weekly wrap up. We'll give you the pure, unadulterated, the numbers, what you said were engaging. Throughout the week, we mix it up to make kind of conversational, pun intended. We want you to email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com. Let us know what we can do better. Check out our partnerships page if you deem us worthy. Today, a little bit of a flub, but if you deem us worthy of a little extra help and attention so we can give more of these things out to more people, check out our partnerships page and see how you can directly partner up with us. And as we ask, check out our sponsorships page and see if there's a sponsor that can help you out and they will help us out in return. We thank you for all that. But we still are sub 20, so doing well to give you the fun stuff for this morning. Fun stuff happens. And for every weekday morning, we start our fun stuff with birthdays because the birthdays are the funnest of the fun stuff. That's how we roll around here. Birthday wishes going out to George Foreman, who's 75 years old today. Yeah, the champ. He's a boxer. He's a clergyman. He sells a very big, very nice, very odd looking, but very effective grill for your home. At least I think they still sell them. He's not quite as iconic as it was back in the day when he had the infomercials and he had the burger in his mouth and he can knock out the fat. But the George Foreman grill, which more people know him for than being George Foreman, the boxer who battled Ali with the big old afro, is 75 years old today. Also, quick wishes to Rod Stewart, who's 79, and Pat Benatar, who's 71 years old today. Rock on. Okay, so our history lesson for the day. On this day in 1949, the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, announced a new 7-inch 45 RPM phonograph record, a record. Soon, that 45 would change the pop music business because it went from selling full albums, 33 1/3, to singles on 45s. The smaller versions were easier to make, obviously, easier to put 1 or 2 tracks on it, flip side there, and the single became the biggest way to sell music because you can sell them one song at a time much faster than waiting for a full album to be produced. It was amazing. You probably don't know this because you're probably under 30 and don't understand how singles work because everything's kind of magically put out there in the web at all times. It was a different time, a different era. And I'm not, 100 years old, but yeah, even back when my day when I was, in the 80s, when they're still selling album singles and of course cassette singles, it was the way music worked. And our celebration for the day happens to be something fun, Houseplant Appreciation Day. So today's a day to check on your houseplants. If you tend to kill them, it's the day to basically get new ones and appreciate them. If you keep them alive, give them an extra jug of water, pour a little into them, if you will, for Houseplant Appreciation Day. Our poll question for this day, for the 10th of January, is a very simple one. We're going back to X, going back to the world of them being a supporter of broadcasts and broadcasters who have been essentially banished from actual television or places. Although Jim Rome's still on TV and still on the radio, he's going to X for different content. Are you going to watch new original content by Don Lemon, Jim Rome, or Tulsi Gabbard on X? Answer that question at our website. We have the links to the website. It's, of course, Daily Poll 2024-01-10. That's the date for today's poll question. Check it out. Let us know. And if you're into it, we'll get that. We use your results from poll questions to help us gauge part of our conversationalness, part of what curated stories. So what you say here helps us out a lot. What you say in the feeds helps us out even more. So make sure you're stopping by the feeds every day to let us know what stories to talk about directly every single day. I'm Jay Clifton Payne, wrapping up the Wednesday edition for 2024, January 10, of Things You Might Have Heard. Stop by our feeds, stop by our email, stop by our partnerships page. Stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task, and be well. Have a great Wednesday. Love you. Mean it. Let's do it again tomorrow.